Hello everyone and welcome back to another preview video for the upcoming patch that is going to go live on Tuesday. So today or tomorrow when you watch it close to going live this video. And we're gonna go over all the changes that are coming with the balance changes outside of the two new divisions. And we're gonna start here with the Luats AGS and a new trait that has been added to the game. And that is Airlift. That both gives some vehicles the ability to be airlifted, and then some helicopters on the other side the ability to airlift these units. And we will get some small light vehicles here, like the Luats that can be, or the Goat that can be airlifted, even with units inside. So the Luats obviously can transport some small scout squadrons, and in combination they can be airlifted. This feather is the icon for that. And as you can see, some background in the rear right now, you have some Mi-8s that can airlift them, for example, or Chinooks or other big transport helicopters that can airlift stuff. And then, yeah, you have the on the other side some light vehicles that can be airlifted, like, for example, the Luats that you can see in this video right now, or some other light trucks and light vehicles for the other nations, some ATGM vehicles, some 50 cal vehicles that can be put into those transports and moved around the battlefield. So this is pretty cool. I don't think it's gonna be super impactful in the long run, but it is a nice implementation here to start things off with. And with Weasels and Co in the future, might see it a bit more with future divisions, so that is pretty nice. Also, another slight change to transports is that if they are on autosail and then you click them somewhere, the autosail immediately turns off. That's a nice addition there as well. But yeah, let's move on to the next thing, and that next thing is the Metis and the Dragon change. As both the Dragon and the Metis have moved to 1250 meter range, they have both gotten some slight accuracy buffs. And they also have a lower minimum range now. Instead of 350, it's only 175 meter minimum range. So they can fire in forests again, to some extent. If you get close enough, they still will struggle. But they can fire to some extent in forests again. So it's not a full-on just nerf. But obviously the big thing is they don't strike out quite as far anymore. Especially for the Metis, it's a long-range nerf. But the Dragon, it's pretty impactful as well. Means that some autocannons now outrange you. And it means that these defensive, early airborne, taking ground and just spiking it with ATGMs and not letting anything with a 50 cal autocannon close, those times are somewhat over. You need to get better angles and so on and hold your fire. And I kind of like it. We will see where it goes. It for sure will change a lot. We have the fear that it might go into an IFV meta now. We will see how that all turns out. Or even a 50 cal meta. Though I'm not fully against that, and yeah, we will see how this all pans out. That's the next bigger change here. And yeah, let's move on to the next thing. And that is the prices of leaders. As you can see, they have changed a lot, mostly downwards. Only a couple few that went upwards, and that is because they're a bit more priced, similar to Steel Division units or leaders now, more so than Wargame Red Dragon CVs, and they really are somewhat cost efficient as leaders now, with 45 or 40 points for the cheapest of them, and they can still capture stuff, but they also are now pretty efficient on the front line. Some are still obviously a bit pricier than others. The one with a lot of hit points, a couple like the Deshant here might still go down in the future. For example, here 60 points, that's quite cheap. That makes them cost efficient as a leader unit on the front line. You still will have to be worried about card efficiency. It might mean that you will take one or two more leader units now in your deck. We'll see how that really changes the deck building. But it's a good change in my eyes because it means more interaction with leaders. And I always like it when leaders are used a bit more actively. And we're gonna see how that all works out. I'm pretty optimistic that this is a good change. But obviously it will change balance quite a bit. And yeah, it's gonna be quite interesting to see if some of them might turn out OP. Yeah, and that is this part here with the leaders. It's gonna be quite interesting. And then we have another change to air missiles and air-to-ground missiles and not rockets, air-to-ground missiles and air-to-ground gun runs or gun runs of planes in general. All of those deal a bit less AoE. So that means an air-to-ground missile doesn't really kill the tanks around the tank it hits. So more of a that HE is a bit reduced, which is nice. But more importantly, the air-to-air one means that there should be less accidents where your planes damage themselves in a head-on engagement or while trying to shoot down helicopters, which is big. And also the chance that one of your planes gets caught in the fireball of a missile that hit a plane next to it is a bit lower as well. All of that I kind of like, especially the one with not hurting yourself as much anymore, because that was just frustrating and super, super annoying. And that is a good change as well. And yeah, now we get to the general nation changes. So we will go as usual, America, and then onward, and then with the Pact on the second half. So yeah, let's go to the American changes, as obviously Pact and NATO balance need to be a bit shifted. And yeah, that has happened. Let's get into that. Before we go to the nation changes though, let's have a quick look here on the Warno Swiss Championship that is coming up this weekend. So if you like the balance changes and all, and you want to pass it out a bit of action, and you have a good friend and time on the weekend, come and join us here on the 31st of August. We will have a lot of fun there with just pure Warno action going on. And you won't, if you sign up, you will have all the time to play. It's Swiss format, so no eliminations. Everybody who signs up gets to play 5 games against fair opponents, as it's based on your previous round's performances as well. So the matchups, especially towards the end, should be really, really well and balanced and a lot of fun. So come and join up here for some fun rules and a bit of prize money as well via Matcherino. See you all there. So first of all, we start with the leaders here, and leader tanks all are the only units that actually went up in price. M1A1 CP, M1A1H ACP. It's the same for heavy tank leaders in other nations as well. So that is not too different. Here we have another one of these airliftable units with the Muley. So that is another cutie that can be put in there in the rear. Yeah, so those are some changes there. Then the M60s all went down in speed. They are now 45 kmh. That's obviously also a 35th change. On the other hand, we have the KEF, which is based on M60 model, going up from 37 to 45. But in general, a Nerf here, 54 to 45 kmh for these units. Quick Fix went up in price to 80 points. It was used in a lot of rushes and so on. So that's a nice nerf. It also got removed from 3rd US, as they lost also their normal Apache. They now have only the Apache ATGM and the Apache Rocket. And the normal Apache here got removed from 3rd US, as you can see. So they don't have that all-rounder, which is most likely the best Apache anymore. And yeah, the Rocket one is not that strong. So 3rd US getting a nerfed in that in that regard as well. Then we also have some changes to planes. A10s went up in price, 230 here. HE1 went up to 180. So these early air rushes should be a good bit weaker. Their weapon range against helicopters also got reduced, so they don't, and especially also against aircraft, like the Avenger is way worse in head-ons now, which is great. It was annoying how good this thing was in head-ons. And yeah, the range here got reduced, especially against aircraft. It went from 3,175 to 2,275. So I'm not even sure the price change was needed at that point. I think the double tap is a bit weaker, but the Avenger change here I really like, making them less reliable of an air-to-air plane, which was frustrating that it was the case. And yeah, in general, US air tap got hit pretty hard. Should hurt the OP divisions that we had before, together with the Dragon change quite a bit. So America for sure should be reined in a good bit more. F-16C AA going up 5 points. That's just a small change here. The F-16 LGB went up to 275 points from 260. So and in general, the F-16 family getting 10 points added in a lot of positions. The HE1, Napalm 1, and so on, because they were good all-rounders and fighters as well. So yeah, they eating it a bit there. F-16 and the A-10 family being increase in price. And then what we didn't get is price reduction for the units that have the dragons. Most of them are still the same price. There's only one exception, that's the airborne dragon, which at 80 point was really expensive beforehand. Now it's 75. With the reduced efficiency of the dragon, that makes sense. 5 points more expensive than the 84, which is it should still be more powerful than. So the rate of fire obviously is a bit questionable, but the extra range and extra AP and so on still should play a bit of a role there. But yeah, outside of that, the other dragon units didn't go down on price. So yeah, USA, they're for sure nerfed in that regard. A1 Fireteam, yeah, dragon, yeah, these two here, that one went down because it was its only roll, 50 to 40. But then on the other hand, the engineered dragon actually going up to 50, from 45 to 50, as they still have the shock trade. I still think like the extra nerf on top once more feels like a bit too much of an over nerf, but we will see if they now fall off completely out of favor. One unit that got buffed is the airborne M67 leader over here, but that's also because the RCL also got reduced in range. 1025 meters range now, so a good couple of them got cheaper. The airborne military police and the MP patrol all going down in price, but also in efficiency. 50 points here instead of 70 and so on, which is good though, as I felt like they were pretty useless for anything else but the RCL before, as they weren't really military police and all, and now they are a bit closer here. And yeah, I think the 20 points price change is fine for Nerf, so it will make vehicles for sure get better against America once more here, with another one of their long-range AT support here being reduced. So yeah, this is interesting. And yeah, the airborne scouts going down in price as well. And that's another small buff here. 84 though, so yeah, 82nd here actually getting a slight buff. CB getting military police added on top, so they are jacked on trades. 4 trades here on these guys. That's pretty impressive. And yeah, the military Berlin light rifles going from 70 to 55 points, going up in availability from 6 to 8, so they really are the spam now again. But also, yeah, the recolorless rifle is a lot weaker. National Guard scouts here, recon, a couple of them really getting buffed quite a bit. 15 points now for these 4-man squads, so that's quite interesting. And then we have a couple of price reductions to mortars as well, in the form of the M125 mortar going down, which I believe is one of the self-propelled one. Yeah, here we go, 70 to 65. The AB M30 107 going down in price and so on. So a couple of nice price changes here, and that is about it. Humvee increased its speed off-road from 72 to 81. Yeah, that could be nice. A couple of base availability buffs to pivots, as they have been nerfed last time, so that's nice as well. And yeah, then we saw some card decreases for 810s as well. I feel like it's a bit too many hits there at once more. We will see how it all goes, but I feel like 3 parameters on 810s changed in one patch might be a bit much. Yeah, hopefully they will stabilize soon. Let's move on to the UK next. So yeah, the Brits get some interesting changes as well. We start with the helicopter tab, where we see the Lynx scaling up 5 points. The Lynx rocket though, going down 10 points. And I find it interesting. Yeah, having cheaper transports for sure is nice here. Yeah, I'm still found these things quite annoying though, so we'll see how this plays out. The Helm is for sure worth 65 points, with 6 hit points and so on. So we'll see how all of that goes. Recon, we have the Fox going up to 70. Don't think that was necessary. Though with autocannons now maybe being better with fewer units able to hit them, that might be okay. Though I still think like, yeah, leave the Fox alone by now. It got nerfed so many times by now. I don't know why another nerf was necessary here at this point. I never felt like Foxes were that impressive at any point in the last couple of months. Then a lot of changes to British air units. Like, basically all their strike packages got increased in price. The Harriers going up in price, which was needed for a nerf in availability. I like the price nerf a bit better than the availability nerf, so yeah, I'm fine here, 150 to 165 for all of these. Because they also have an AA missile, that is okay. And they have payloads, like this one has a payload that can just nuke everything. The Jaguars going up 10 points as well, each one, so that's an okay price as well. Tornado Cluster and Tornado HE and Seed doing the same. So yeah, the strike planes here getting a bit reduced in efficiency. We have seen a lot of air spam lately, so I get where this is coming from. I think those are fair changes in general. Then a lot of leader changes, as we had on the other ones, with infantry leaders mostly getting cheaper. That we don't have to show off here individually. It's so many changes, but yeah, you will see them when you get there. Then some changes to the scouts. They're all good, getting a bit cheaper. I like it. Recon units being cheaper is nice. Being a bit more cost efficient. They're already not card efficient, so being a bit more cost efficient there is nice. I still wish we would get them a bit better, but at least it's now incentivized to get a couple more guys with that can actually see a bit out onto the battlefield. Then we also see some changes to the mortars. Sultan, Recon, CV going down in price as well. Not this one over here. And yeah, a couple of other changes like that. So this is pretty standard. First UK division got a cheaper tank slot now. One moving from 3 to 2 cost slot, but one of its air slots got moved from a 1 to a 2-point slot, and it lost some 3-point air slots. So it has a couple more 2-point slots, which is cool. I would like to have more more 2-point slots generally around in all decks. So deck building is more interesting instead of just taking all the 1-cost slots, then taking all the 2-cost slots, and then taking 1 or 2 3-point slots, which is all the differentiation we get at the moment. But yeah, we will see about that in the future. And then in second UK, the free veterancy that the Phantom got, which made the Phantom really gnarly, it got removed as well. So some slight nerfs there to second and first in that regard. In general, the air spammy being reduced a bit, I think allows for the future some buffs on the ground. Outside of just the links, like a couple of extra changes there would be nice. So yeah, we will see where this goes. Berlin Command got an addition of one of the Rapier FSAs. That is now in Berlin Command as well. Berlin Command finally has a bit of long range A. That's important. They also got some changes to the Mirage HE, as they get 2 per card now. Mirage HE is still not great though, but yeah, it moved from 2 cards of 1 to 1 card of 2, which is nice. And yeah, let's move on to the West Germans here. And here we start in the air tab as well, with the most important change of them all. F4F going up to 200 points. This thing was pretty obnoxious for 165 points. It also goes down 1 availability to 3. Not quite sure if 200 is really where it's at, quality-wise. Though it has 30 ECM and all, so it might absolutely be 200. I feel like 190 would have been where I started, but still, like, it needed a big nerf. It got that big nerf. Still 3 availability, so better than the normals 2, which is a nice thing that they just didn't immediately cut it down completely. I think it doesn't quite warrant that. But yeah, it for sure got nerfed, so 5th Panzer's annoying air dominance and spam is over in that regard. Then we have a couple of other changes to the F104 HE going up another 5 points, going down from 4 to 3 availability. We have the F4F AT going up from 195 to 115, which is... I still have the British in here. F4F AT, there we go, 215 points now. F4F Rocket going up to 155 points, so... The 5th Panzer air spam here being hit a bit. We all know who we have to thank for this, for the defense. Thank you for your service of air spamming everybody, being the Corbo of Wano. For everybody who gets that reference, thanks for watching and following the channel for such a long time, and the SDL. good old Corbo times in Steel Division Normandy. And yeah, F4 FHE1 going down to 2 per card. So yeah, a lot of changes there. Tornado AT going up 5 points to 245. And yeah, those are the changes here. Then we move on to the Recon tab, where BGS lost its security trade finally, which made them, which basically worked like the GSR, and that it wasn't supposed to be the case. Uh, these guys with their eyes basically looked as well as these guys did with high tech, and that didn't make sense for a disheartened unit. Like, if anything, it might have been planned that they start with good and then go up to very good. That's not how it was implemented. So yeah, better remove that here instead of having these kind of cheating recon units. So yeah, BGS now down. They still solid, but they're not OP anymore. They were some of the best, if not the best, recon infantry in the game with that trait. Then leaders, yeah, going around in prices. And then we have a couple of price changes in the infantry tab, with Pioneer Flum actually going down from 50 to 45% points. That's nice. Though the normal Pioneers actually going up to 50. So that is somewhat curious. But yeah, Pioneers here getting slightly nerfed. Feldjägers got security trait added, so they can now also function as defensive unit there. So you have another security unit also kind of helping out for the BGS loss. Fallschirmjäger availability here of the 7.62 got reduced from 7 to 6 because it was just used so much as a forward deploy spam unit. So that reduction makes sense as well. Aufklärer going down to 35. So yeah, another one of these recon units getting a slight price buff. That is nice. Yeah, then artillery. We have a couple of nerfs with the Lars going up to 140. The Panzermörser are actually going up to 80, which I find a bit curious. Why other mortar units go down and this one goes up. I don't think it's that much better, but yeah. Then some of the Panzermörsers here going up slightly in price. This one to 85. Impella. And then the Kraka got its port deployment trait removed. But more importantly, we have the Jaguars nerfed as well. The Jaguar 1 and Jaguar 2 going up to 65 and 80 points, respectively. With the smoke and the 6 frontal armor, that is warranted. These guys were really, really, really strong, especially the Jaguar 2. And there might be now a reason for the Jaguar 1, but with only 5-point nerf here, and then the 10-point nerf here from 70 to 80, it is worth 80 points. Like, this thing with the smoke is just fantastic. And yeah, it's now the same price as the Humvee TOW, which has more speed, but has no smoke and no frontal armor. So this is fine. Like, the 80 points here, this thing is still worth it. And yeah, it's a good nerf here to something that was quite annoying with the Germans. And then Gebhardt got a base availability buff to 6 per card. That is nice. Something to deal with helicopters and all. Roland's lost some top armor. That is a change that we saw a couple of times here, going up to 1, so that cluster bombers in general will be more effective against some light units and stuff like that, and cluster artillery. Will be interesting to see. There's a couple of other units with top armor changes as well that we will face later on. So yeah, that is a curious change. And then yeah, in the divisions, there was one logistic slots in 5th Panzer changed from a 3 to a 2-point slot. So 5th Panzer there a bit more efficient, but I believe it got one of its air slots also made more expensive. So yeah, that is a change there. Let's move on to the Frenchies. Before we move on to the Frenchies, actually, yeah, quick jump to the Belgians. Slight nerf here on the F-16A. Yeah, that's basically it for the Belgians, together with a slight price increase to these guys, which were a bit underpriced compared to some other recon units, actually. And yeah, the Sultan going down like other CV units as well. Now, let's get into the French, and let's start with the recon tab there as well, as we have a new trait here. And that is on the Suppliant only. As you can see, the Suppliant has something that the normal AMX-10 doesn't have. That's the Dazzler. The Dazzler trait now is a thing, and it gives this unit 10% ECM against guided missiles. And basically is, 10% ECM against guided missiles for the ground units, which is an interesting little trait to add. A bit more representation of the Cold War battlefield. I like that. I really like that. I like traits like this that don't really impact super much, but really give you a bit of flavor and still give you a slight edge. And yeah, the 10% ECM against any kind of ground-based ATGM for sure is a nice one. We also have some top armor changes here to the AMX 10 and 13 and 90 going down to 1 front the top armor as well, so clusterable as well. Meanwhile, a couple of transports moving around in prices. Their aircraft also being hit. The Jaguar AT going up to 215 from 195. The Mirage HE actually going down in price next to getting availability, but that's because their drop pattern at the moment is terrible. And yeah, that's the changes there. And then we have some curious changes as well. First of all, the chasseurs going up in price. That was needed because these guys were super cheap for a security unit that also has 8 hit points and can come in an IAV that got its price reduced lately. But they also get one more availability, so that's a nice change. I like that. These units now are not super cost efficiency fighting forces, but you get the numbers, you get the IAV numbers of it as well. So it's 10 base availability. So I like this change for sure. From just pure cost efficiency to something interesting, which is, to actually being security units. Trevot got security added as well, like the other military police small units as well. And then we have the first old unit that gets a 4-weapon slot. Hashtag French bias here. With the chasseurs. That's it. I mean, this was Mad Matt's kind of poster child of why we need a 4-weapon slot. So I guess that was the internal thing as well. And that is, chasseurs had a sniper rifle always with their team. And so they have a sniper rifle now. They get 5 points more expensive for it as well. So it's not just an outright buff for the French, don't you worry. I think the 5 points are really fair here for not getting an extra man, just getting a sniper rifle instead of a FAMAS, which it's only 850 meter range. It's not the long range, like it's just an automatic rifle basically here. So this is good, but it won't make this unit any more P with the 5-point change. It just will change a bit how it plays, and I think it's a cool thing to have here. I'm really looking forward to more 4-weapon slots. Like, we got the smoke grenades with one of the Polish leader units now. I hope we get more soon with other units as well. As Eugen for sure has plans in that direction. But yeah, more information there. Hopefully somewhat soon about what we will get there. Then, yeah, a lot of leader changes. A lot of infantry leaders that got cheaper, as you can see here. Then the recon change that we saw now hitting the eclairs as well. 35 instead of 40 points. That's nice. Para eclair. They're going down in price as well. Mortars moving a bit around in price. Base availability on the ML60 got reduced, which is up here. So that goes down to 4 availability, which is interesting. And the Gendarme, same thing, going down slightly there as well. And yeah, the top armor of the Rolands here and the MX-10s around changing as well, making it more vulnerable to cluster. So yeah, that is NATO, and as you have seen, it's mostly either side changes or nerfs outside of recon. And that should really help out letting the Pact catch up. But then we also come to some buffs now. And yeah, let's start with the Pact action. And for Pact, the most important thing is the price change to the BMPs. The BMP 1 and 1 PG going down from 40 to 35 points. That is a nice change to help their prime mover for a lot of their divisions getting a bit more cost efficient again and helping them out with their infantry being a bit more efficient and cost efficient there. So that actually will do a lot because it's just a unit that is so common. And yeah, the BMP 1P and 1PG getting cheaper is quite nice. And then we have a surprising nerf here for the Soviets in the T-64 B variant. That one actually going up 5 points in price, though it doesn't really change too much. And yeah, compared to the T60, T80B here, that also now got its MG modeled 4 weapon slot. It's okay, though. Yeah, it only has the Cobra missile here, so, and it has one less frontal armor. So yeah, it's a bit surprised that the change happened. It's not too impactful. More impactful is that T55s now are a bit faster. They went from 45 to 50 kmh, so that is a nice one. T55 being impacted by this as well, and that will help out all the Soviet, all the East Germans especially as well. That's a little price change. And then a lot of air changes in price as well. The L39s here going down in price from 80 to 60. Here we have mostly air buffs for the Soviets. The MiG-27 LGB going down, actually not even quite sure, that should be somewhere around here. Yeah, LGB1 going from 265 to 260, so small buff there. MiG-27M HE going down slightly in price as well, from 185 to 180, 185 to 180 for the cluster. Same for the Napalm, rocket 165 to 160. AT, the normal AT here, actually the only one that goes up, but it was used quite a lot beforehand, so that makes sense as well. And then yeah, the Su-24 seat being brought on slightly lower, but that is okay as well because it was by far the best seat. This one here, that is in KDA and War 19th. It has 60 ECM. It was super gnarly, and 2 availability for it was quite crazy, so that got changed there. Su-25's got the same reduction in its main gun as the A10, but it didn't get the price nerfs or anything like that, so it should be fine. Just means it's a slightly weaker fighter. And then the T8M, the one over here, actually got its Vickers slightly buffed in range, so that might help without being a bit more effective against ground units. Will be interesting to see that and see how all of this goes. And then we have a couple of price changes going around as well. Spätskrupa going up from 70 to 65 points, going down there. With the Scorpion not being that amazing, that's a fine price in my eyes. No forward deploy, no GSR or anything like that. So yeah, 10-man special force, sure, all nice and so on, but Scorpion holding it back a bit. So that's a nice change to 119th. And basically repaying them for the nerf to the T-64B if you even take that tank. So yeah, no real division nerf here being on the Soviet side. Another one that is buffed is the SPG-9. That goes with the Dajan version from 55 to 50. And the normal one, which I guess we have further down here, going down to 45 points. Same for the Pact, for the one in the East Germans. The M40 also going down to 45 points here for the West Germans. So yeah, some slight price changes there. And then the Recon also getting some light buffs in prices here. The Verchvetka Saperi going down to 55 points. And so on. Dragon+Metis going up in base availability from 7 to 8 as well, next to the Nerf. That is a nice change, that they at least get a slight repayment there. Spetsnaz GRU going down to 75 points, which is interesting as they have an RPG. So I'm not quite sure why they went down from 85 to 75 points, but that's a nice one for the Soviets. And yeah, Dragon+Metis going up in availability as well. One of the few units that got nerfed in the artillery tab is the Nonna. The Nonna here going up from 110 to 120, and this one from 95 to 100. But they were really used a lot, so that makes sense for the most part as well, as they were pretty annoying lately. So yeah, slight price increase for 120mm, so like 120mm being a bit on the list to hit, but it's not massive. Base availability of the Tunguska increased from 3 to 4 as well. That helps quite a bit as well. Yeah, this SPG-9's change is also coming based like all other recoilless rifles on a slight range nerf though. So yeah, it's not really a big buff. Yeah, this one going to 1400 meter. So that is okay there. Just a side crate. Yeah, I kind of forgot why that happened. S25's being reduced in availability per card as well a bit, which 79 losing one 3-point air slot, getting one more 2-point tank slot. So yeah, they try to reduce the air spam in general a bit. I'm not quite the biggest fan of the card changes, but that is okay. It's not super impactful. So yeah, East Germany, we already talked about the tanks. T55s now being 54 and 50 kmh instead of 45. That will really help out big time with the T55 being the prime mover here. 40 have the prime tank, and getting them a bit more agile will change a lot of how you can play them. The Me Too Adder in the helicopter tab actually got buffed a bit, and I kind of liked that thing before. Oh, no, right, the Adder is the one on the recon tab, so yeah, actually, doesn't really matter, but yeah. 1225 to 1200, and 875 to 1050. Yeah, might do something. Not the most impactful one, though. And then we see the MiG-21 rockets going down in price, 110 points each. That's gonna be interesting, as I didn't feel like they were terrible before. They were for sure not good, though. Now they might be okay. The L39 going down in price as well, that we already saw beforehand. Yeah, the SPG-9 changes, and then we got some changes around leaders. Dragon+Metis got down in price from 70 to 60. So yeah, really 6 Moto gets a lot of buffs. Just one small nerf Moschützen here. 55 points. The leaders all moving around. Moschützen, yeah, going up in availability as well from 60 to 55. That's a nice change as well. And yeah, the Luftsturmjäger 6 Moto for sure gonna be good, even with that slight change to the T64, but they get so many more buffs instead. And bug fix that we had was to AT guns, and they now also got some price changes in their favor in some cases, like the CIS 3 and this, like these two here, going slightly down in price. So that's quite nice. You have the BMP1 change that hit the East Germans as well. Yeah, the efficiency here going up, and everything can kill a bit better. So I feel like really the Pact is back in action. And then Shilka base availability up from 6 to 7 as well. Though the Shilka still kind of sucks with its guns, so that is not too important here. And yeah, this is it for the changes. Quite a lot of them. I'm pretty hyped for the balance in general, even though it's nothing major. It's just a smaller patch from hello, we are welcome back from the summer. No new maps yet, though there is a good amount of stuff cooking there. The map department is active, but unfortunately none of them making it in here yet, and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll see where it goes next with NoFag and all. I'm pretty excited. I think this patch will be pretty cool. But we will have to see how it really plays out with the Metis changes, and if maybe it's really the time of the IFV to shine again. I would be ready for it. I'm looking forward to better AT guns. Don't think we will see Airlift too much in top level play, but it might be a bit of a meme from time to time. And yeah, Pact versus NATO should feel a lot better now as well.